Namaskar, I am Rashmi Jangam. Today I am here to speak about my journey into the dance world. I come from a very music or music related background. I am the third generation in my family who's carrying this tradition forward. My grandfather, Shri Baban Rao Terfade, or better known as B. Swami, was an organ player with the great Natya Sangeet maestro Bal Gandharvaji, and later on he also played with another legendary Natya Sangeet singer, Srimati Hirabai Badodekar ji. Both my father and my aunt both picked up the kala or the art quite early in their age and were prodigies in their own way, including my uncle, and they were known as the Jangam Trio then in the 60s, I think. My father is a tabla player, my aunt a Kathak dancer, and my uncle was a violin player. So they together used to perform at quite a few places and were known, like I said, as the Jangam Trio. Later on, though my uncle stopped playing for different reasons, my aunt pursued her dance and continued to be, learning further, and so did my dad, so did my father. They both trained under legendary gurus and are very, very senior performing artists in their field by now. So it was very obvious that for me and my brother, my younger brother, to kind of take up the art. But it was not so in my case. I don't think it was in my brother's case either. We both were not very academically inclined, but of course had put our hands on different kinds of arts. We're doing a little bit of sports and stuff like that. But for me, dance was like a complete no. The first thing that came to my mind when my aunt, when I was about 7 or 8, and she said, now you should start stepping into a regular class and maybe start doing something with your friends and colleagues. I was like, no, dance is not something that I really want to do. But घर में था, तो obviously there was a little pressure, there was a little inclination also from my side and pressure from the family side to at least do something, at least be a part of the class, if not maybe as a professional later on. So that's how the journey started. I started dancing with a teacher who used to teach in Kalachaya. His name was Shri Raman Kundur sir. And I somehow never enjoyed the whole process of being there and dancing. Later it so happened that I was transferred, or I was put into another teacher's class. Kalachaya used to have various teachers at various levels, and I was in another level learning with another teacher. So that's when I maybe started enjoying it a little bit. But like I said, it was never on my mind, never thought that I would take this up as a profession. When all of this was happening, Kalachaya already was about 15-20 years into its existence. So we already had our Dada Guruji, Pandit, the legendary Kathak maestro, Pandit Birju Maharajji, come into Kalachaya every single year. We had Bharat Ratna Pandit Bhimsen Joshi ji come to Kalachaya every now and then. Other greats and stalwarts like Munalal Shukla ji, Pandit Appa Sahib Jalgaonkar ji, Ustad Zakir Hussain ji, and others. To me as a child, when I was, I was just wandering around here and there, and I used to see these people, and my aunt used to tell me that we are going to have such great artist coming. I was like, okay. And never realized the importance or the fact that I was being surrounded by these legendary artists who were already great and were already at a certain height in their field. For me, it was like, okay, it's a dance institute or it's an art center, and people, my aunt knows so many of them, and great artists come to our place, and yeah, that was about it. But fortunately for me, I used to sit along with my father. My mother used to make sure that we went for every single program, even if it was late at night, because that time there was no restriction of late night programs, and most of them were conducted in the auditorium. So we used to go on till about 1 o'clock at night, 2 o'clock at night. Of course, as children, we didn't stay up that late, but whatever we could, my mother used to make sure that we used to sit in her lap and watch whatever possible. So at that point of time, I really didn't understand the importance of this. For me, it was like, I want to sleep. And my mom or my aunt used to say, no, 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 you have to just stay up for a little more and just try and observe a little more or see a little more. And today, when I'm actually into the field and I'm dancing, I understand the importance of these images that were created on my mind, were visually given to me almost on a platter, and the difference that they make to my understanding of dance, to my understanding the principles of my field, not just about the aesthetic of dance, but aesthetic of life as well. Because all these legendary artists were not just teaching dance or singing or tabla or whatever their field was, but always were also into teaching so many principles about life, about what should be done as an artist, how the process should be, what should be taught, how it should be taught. In general, the process of how it works or it doesn't work. It has made a huge impact on me. And I must say, if it was not for that particular observation, that was given to me, the observation skill that was given to me, or the exposure and the Guru Sanidhya that I had at that point of time, I would not have been so enriched as I am today. So for that, I am absolutely indebted to my Guruji, Shrimati Prabhatai Marathe, a Gandabandh Shagird of Pandit Birju Maharaj Ji himself. And the journey from there started on for my dance. Slowly, I started enjoying the process. This was around age 13 or 14. That's when my guru also insisted that I try for the central government scholarship, which is known as the CCRT scholarship for the junior fellows. Luckily, I had the background. I also had great training from my teacher. And through various ways, even when I was not interested as a child, she made sure that I was in class learning through some way that would interest me. So by that time, I had some training which would be helpful to me. And that's how I appeared for the scholarship, and I was lucky and fortunate to be granted that. That made me realize that I have now bigger responsibilities to carry ahead as not just an artist, but as somebody from my family who's carried this art forward for 60, 70 years, and the responsibility now was on my shoulders to understand the importance of arts and to give back to it, to learn, to understand, to imply the aesthetics, the principles of art, and then to give back to it whenever possible. The journey thus began, and the process of being in a class, interacting with my colleagues, my friends, with different musicians, started becoming more enjoyable. And this is when I got a chance to visit the United States of America as a child artist. My aunt made sure, I'm referring to her as my aunt, but she's my guru, Shrimati Prabhatai Marathe, who's also my aunt. She made sure that I got the exposure to go into different schools in the US, interact with a different crowd, and make them understand or convey about my art that I was learning. The world was not as close as it is today. There was no internet, there were no phones as freely available as today. And that is why not necessarily everyone in the West had the exposure to the Indian dances, more so from the school. So it became like an interactive process. That's how I started learning about being able to convey my art to the other part of the world. Post the US experience, which left me very, very enriched, I got a chance to visit with my guru and a few other colleagues Italy. And this was a month-long tour for the India Festival. And we were interacting. We had a Bharatanatyam dancer, and we were a few Kathak dancers together, a few musicians together. So entirely, we were a troupe of about 13 to 14 artists together, along with my Guruji and my father. And we were there for a month. Now, this interaction again left me very, very enriched, because it was the first time I was only in the circle of artists. There were other groups as well, and we were only thinking, talking, eating, sleeping about dance. This was when I was about 16 years of age. We were performing at different times, because this was also a textile exhibition that they had put up at that point of time. So there were various slots given for various artists. We used to have mostly in the evenings, but there were other slots as well. So we used to go, watch the others perform. We used to come back and talk about it. We used to talk about our performance. We used to stay in a dormitory together. There were no fancy places to stay at that point of time. But that was the best experience, because we were also learning how to manage with each other, understanding the chemistry between people when they come and stay together, and how it affects and interacts with your art as well. Affect in the sense positively, because there were various suggestions made by the seniors to me, because I was the junior most in that particular group. We also used to talk about, because it was not a regular stage, like I said, they were also having ramp walks and fashion shows naturally. So the stage was like a rectangular at the back, and like a ramp protruding out of it in the front. So we were always discussing about which angles, how the music should be played, how the dancers should come in, and all of that. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. When I was coming back from that tour, that was the first time I ever felt, I would like to make this a part of my life, and would like to carry forward my journey on this particular path, and maybe this journey should never end. That's how it started, post which I got numerous chances to visit the United States of America, have master classes, interact with various university students in various dance departments. This is all again thanks to my Guruji, Srimati Prabhatai Marathe, and my father, Shri Bharat Jangam. This early exposure, why I'm insisting on so much, is because I do understand that I'm fortunate and privileged to be one of those who got this early exposure. But when I go back and talk to my students, or when we are talking in general, that observation is important. That's what I mean by all this. All of this while I was more into observing, letting that exposure come to me, absorb as much as I could. And then when experience-wise you grow up, all of this helps you in a much larger way. It enriches you in a much larger way. I think when today's, in today's children, what happens is they want to, just enroll into a class at 7 or 8, be on stage at 10, almost know everything by age 15, and it doesn't work. Believe me, I mean, I'm not a very old person, and neither am I a legend to kind of say all this. I know it's a chota muh badi baat, but it's all about experience that I've had. The other thing that left me very, very enriched is my teaching experience. Prabhatai, when I started growing up at one particular age, asked me, would you be interested in teaching the children? Or would you like to focus only on your performances. I said, no, teaching interests me and I would like to interact with children and students. This particular thing comes from my father, who's been interacting with school children for almost 35 years now, has been teaching tabla to senior KG children, 5-year-olds, for the last 35 years. And again, observation came handy. I've seen him talk, interact in a very, very playful manner with all these 5-year-olds, never scold them, but yet put the whole idea of rhythm and tala into them. And then they used to just enjoy the process. Most of them later on did play tabla for a longer time, not as professions, but as at least as a hobby. So again, that came in handy. I started teaching when I was about 18 with younger classes, of course, with beginner classes, with my Guruji, Prabhatai, or my seniors being in class all the time. So I used to always make sure and interact with them about a particular class, that this is what is going to be taught in today's class. Is this right? Is this wrong? Is this how it should be? Is this not how it should be? So that interaction of talking with my colleagues, with my Guruji, always helped. She made sure that she was always there for me if something went wrong. There used to be a lot of incidences with parents and even students because I was very young when I started. But she always made sure that she was there, and I never felt lonely when I was in that whole circuit of teaching. But at the same time, she gave me the freedom to think differently, to understand my ways and methods of teaching, and to understand the student and then interact accordingly. She never ever forced or coaxed me to say that this is how I have been traditionally learning and this is how I have taught you, so this is how you should be teaching ahead. That was never the line. She made sure that I was teaching the right thing. She made sure that I was not going wrong in terms of teaching the principles of the art, but she gave me the freedom to think. This was again a very, very enriching experience. I still am into teaching and it still enriches me the most when I interact. I have otherwise also been blessed because my Dada Guruji, Pandit Birju Maharajji, and my Guruji, Prabhatai Marathi, when learning dance itself, gave me a whole lot of vision in terms of understanding my aesthetic, in terms of my body, in terms of my principle, and also the exposure to various arts, by which I mean I was given exposure to Western styles like tap dance, like modern dance. I was given exposure to Indian styles at that point of time, like coloring, to chow, to various workshops conducted by Kumudini Lakhia ji, by Astad Debu ji, and others. This exposure, I might not have learned like a lot in like a 4-day workshop or a 3-hour workshop, but like I initially mentioned, the interaction with these people, it's just the way they conduct themselves, the way they teach, the way they understand, make you understand, all helped in my process of trying to become an artist. All said and done, I also would like to mention here that about the Lucknow Gharana of dance, which we particularly teach here, and my Guruji has been the pioneer in promoting and propagating the Lucknow style of Kathak, which is Pandit Birju Maharajji's Gharana, always gave me the vision to explore my body, to understand my body. By which I mean, even with warm-up exercises or even with small tukras or todas that we do, I was never ever told, ऐसे ही सिखाया है, ऐसे ही करो. बिल्कुल ऐसे ही सिखाया है और सीखते वक्त you must be able to do it technically right, as in understand the bowl, the principle, the way of standing, the way of conducting. It has to be in lay and tal, of course. The body has to move in a certain way. ये बिल्कुल ही समझना चाहिए और ये आना भी चाहिए. But once you master it, once you understand it, then you have the freedom to think differently. As in not leave the structure of what you have been taught, but you can explore the different movements that are possible in that particular framework. So that is how I started getting initiated into the whole world of choreography. I would not say that I'm a choreographer, but I have made different attempts at learning the principles through gurus, through my own teacher, and have tried to inculcate and imply those in my particular way of putting across themes, sometimes abstract, sometimes with words. Now I will just talk about a couple of choreographies that I have been trying my hand at. The first one, going ahead with this particular principle that I just spoke about, was Niriye Mandari. It talks about the Virahinis written by Sant Jnaneshwar, and the music is by the legendary Shri Bhaskar Chandavarkarji. Niriye Mandari was about the Virahinis written by Sant Jnaneshwar, music by Shri Bhaskar Chandavarkarji. It talks about not the Shringarik or the normal Virahini that you talk about. It talks about the Virahini who is longing for her Lord, for Vitthal. Bhaskarji gave this particular music piece to my Guruji, Srimati Prabhatai Marathe, and she explored her choreography on this sometime in the 90s, of which I was also part of. And we presented this at a few places, at a few festivals in Delhi. Post which, it was also presented in Pune. A few years passed by. Unfortunately, we also lost Bhaskarji during that time. And Prabhatai once came to me and said, "Why don't you try doing Niriye Mandari?" And I said, Atya, that's what you call your aunt in Marathi. I think it's quite tough, and I don't think I can explore this so early. And plus, it's Bhaskarji's music. He's not there to guide me anymore. But I know you are there, but I don't know whether I can handle this. And she said, "No, I think you can, because I'm there to guide you. And if at all, if there's anything that I do not, kind of agree with, I'll let you know." I said, "Okay." I think that's a very, very huge step in any guru's or in any shishya's life, because something that has been handled by the guru already, has been choreographed, has been thought about by the guru, and then being able to very confidently give it to a shishya to say, "Okay, here it is, go ahead and do whatever you can with this." One thing, it gives a lot of trust, confidence to the shishya, of course, that he or she has now grown up to the capacity to be able to handle a subject like that. Secondly, it's not about feeling insecure on the guru's part that, "Oh no, this is something that I've already done. I've created a piece out of it. People already have that visual, and now I don't want it to be disturbed. If you want to carry it ahead, you carry it ahead this way. Otherwise, no." I think it's a huge learning step for me. It was, and it still is. And that's when I learned, when you know your art, when you know your principles for the art, you know what it is meant for, and you know what it means to you, the art means to you, the whole insecurity thing goes away. And then you do not feel insecure about, "I don't want her to do this, which is what I've been doing for so many years. I don't want her to copy me." All of that just vanishes away. It also is a lot of confident amount of teaching, because when she was teaching me, she was already teaching me that, yes, this is the principle of Maharajji's dance, and this is what you need to understand as a principle, and not copy him or copy me. So that all of that kept coming back to me. I started understanding, grasping. I had the fortune of talking about these Virahinis. The text is, of course, very difficult to understand, to Professor Sadanand More, who is an expert in Santa Vangmay, that is literature on saints. And we interacted, whatever I could grasp and understand, I tried. And that's how the process started. The music was already there. And like I mentioned, I was already the part of the choreography that Tai had done on us. So I had a little bit of the sense of the whole mood of the choreography. But here, what we were doing is, it was me, a Bharatanatyam dancer from Pune, and a contemporary dancer from Pune. Contemporary dancer Rushikesh Pawar, Bharatanatyam dancer Kalyani Kane, and myself. We were going to come together and try our hand at this. So the process, of course, was quite interesting because we interacted, exchanged, disagreed on a lot of views, agreed on quite a few as well, and kept listening to music, started understanding the process of if we come together as bodies of different, principles and aesthetics, it should not harm the particular music that has been created. ये नहीं है कि कुछ अलग करना है तो बस कर दिया. That was not the idea. So that's how we started spending a lot of time together in the mornings for about 2 to 3 hours every day for almost a month plus. And that's when we came up with a lot of movement vocabulary that would suit, that's what we thought, would gel along, will bring out the mood of the choreography and the subject of the choreography. That was my first attempt, a full-length attempt, I would say. And then we showed it to Tai. She, with a few changes that she might have suggested, she never insisted, she suggested. We went ahead with that particular piece and presented it in 2014 or 15. And we invited Shrimati Meenata Chandavarkar, Bhaskarji's wife, and who has a lot of exposure and understanding of the arts as well. And when she came, and after she saw the piece, she came down and she said, if Bhaskarji would have been here, he would have been very happy. And I think that, I'm sorry, I'm just getting emotional, but I think that's something that made a huge difference to me. Not because the compliment I received, but because it brought back so many things. It brought back my teacher's training. It brought back my trust, or rather her trust in me, her confidence in me, her whole way of giving out to the student, whether it was me or many others before me. And it became even more sure or even more pakka in my mind that now I cannot turn back and just shrug off this responsibility that has been given to me. It is my responsibility and I will take it forward. To that understanding, later on we did quite a few things. I have been more attracted or more inclined to do abstract themes. I of course love reading literature. I try and kind of always talk about it. We talk to various experts. But abstract is something that's always attracted me or I've been inclined to. So there was a particular piece by Hari Prasad Chaurasia ji, Pandit Hari Prasad Chaurasia. And it's just a Malkaun's alap. Absolutely. It's a 12-minute, rather a 15 or a 20-minute long alap. So while I was listening to it quite a few times, before that, my father was the one who actually heard it a few times and just came up to me and said, Rashmi, just listen to this. I said, okay. So I kept listening to it. He didn't say anything. After which he said, do you think you can do something on this? So I said, Baba, this is just an alap. What do you think I'm going to try on doing on this? There is no percussion beat to it. I said, well, think about it. Think about what you can do. And that's how the process started. And I said, well, if that is alap for Sangeet or for the flautist, what is alap for me? What is it that I start doing with my body as alap before I got on to the full length, todas, tukdas and tihais, the regular repertoire? It's all the warm-ups, all the slow things, all the, the body coming to, slowly to its, blossoming to its, to a full length gesture that I would like to do. So all of that is alap for me. It's my own thinking of my own movements, my own internalizing my own, whatever I've learned. That is alap for me. Why not try that? And that is how the process started. Again, we interacted with different people. Of course, I went back to my Guruji every time to understand whether I was working or thinking in the right direction. And that piece again came along in a similar fashion. So there is absolutely no percussion beat to it. Of course, it's in rhythm, but there's no percussion to beat to it. And so there's no regular repertoire of Kathak in terms of Tukda and Tihai, but it's regular Kathak movements, which I molded as an alap, kind of progresses and takes itself ahead. So that was about the second choreography. There's just two short mention of two other things that we did. Kalachaya, when in its golden jubilee year in 2015, came up with Kavya Nritya Unmesh, a program which is again, or a concert or a series which is close to my heart. In this, we invited all style dancers from Pune, whether it be Bharatanatyam, contemporary, Odissi, Kathak, of course. And the poems were chosen by Shrimati Manisha Tai Dikshit, Shrimati Shamala Tai Vanarase, and my Guruji Prabhatai Marathi. These were 20th and 21st century poems that were chosen. It was a bunch of poems that were chosen, and we decided to give it out to different people, and then everybody chooses their own and composes their music and does their own choreography. That is about Kavya Nritya Unmesh. So Kavya Nritya Unmesh, luckily we got a good response to this, and a lot of Pune dancers, all young dancers between the age of 30 and 35, 40 came together, chose their own poems. We also had given the facility of helping them interact with Manisha Tai Dikshit, who was a master herself. Unfortunately, again, we've lost her. And everyone could go back to her, talk about their own poem, talk about lines that they not understood, to even to Shamala Tai, and then decide on how they would like to take the piece ahead. When I chose Narayan Surve's poster, Manisha Tai was very happy. And when I went to talk to her about it, it is more of a theatrical piece rather than a piece that could be danced to, or rather a poem that could be danced to. It's definitely not in meter. It's something that is interactive between four people who were mill workers and lost their jobs because of the mill strikes that happened in Mumbai in the 70s. So it's absolutely not something that you can dance to in terms of regular dance. So Manisha Tai was like, I'm happy you chose this because there is nothing to dance to in this. How are you going to deal with this? I said, well, that's the challenge, and I think that's why I have taken up this particular poem. The interactions with her helped me a lot because she made sure I was not only reading poster by Narayan Surve n number of times, but also reading a lot of other Narayan Surve works, things that he'd written about during that time, or even contemporary writers to him and contemporary poets. So she was very, very sure. She's like, Rashmi, you're not going to read only one poem and set up to this. You're going to read more. Only then will you kind of step onto this whole process of doing poster. I said, okay, Tai. Of course, I don't think I did too much justice to her, to kind of her command, but I tried my best, reading more or less, whatever I could. And of course, the interactions with her helped me. So poster, something that I would like to recite to, but let me recall on that. It did not create any kind of movement initially when I read. And after a few readings, I was like, did I really do a mistake by taking this poem up? But then colleagues who were working with me, I had two ballet teachers also working with me, Makarand and Pooja, who are now my colleagues. They initially used to teach ballet. And they said, Rashmi, don't think in a regular fashion. If you start thinking only about this, you're not going to be able to do anything because it does not call for Kathak. I said, right. And that's when we started creating a movement vocabulary, started finding movements, smaller movements, larger movements, just through our walks, just through maybe a single gesture, just four of us coming together and making it feel like it is a crowd, kind of interacting with the union leader. It was just four of us, but we wanted to give it a feeling of a crowd. So we used different ways of sitting, different ways of walking, different ways of, angling ourselves and creating that vocabulary, that movement vocabulary. And thus, we started working on the piece. Poster then came out as one of the best, presentations during that whole festival that we had. And that again taught me a lot more about my field, about my dance, about Kathak. So dance, what I would like to put forth through this is dance is not only about what you learn as a stylized form, not just Kathak or a Bharatanatyam or Odissi, but it's also about all those in-between things that it leaves you with. To which I think a lot of our seniors and a lot of experts have said, Sanchari. So layering over one another, finding those spaces, finding those gaps, and making and breaking that particular sentence, whether it is a thumri, whether it is a line of a famous poem, or it is a kavita like poster. It is all about just understanding your particular form, breaking it, and then making it again. Breaking it and making it again. So the whole process kind of helps you understand your field, your vistar of the entire field, and helps you get into the process of not just confining yourself to this is what I have been taught and this is what I will do. Yes, of course, there's nothing wrong in that. And we must, because that's been traditionally given to us and it is our duty to take it ahead. But as people moving forward, as artists trying to look for, for newer adventures, let's say, this is, I think, as a process, helped me a lot. And today, I have been teaching in Kalachaya for about 20 years and have been trying to put up these kind of small pieces together. I won't say I'm a choreographer, like I already mentioned. When I'm trying and working on my repertoire and my dance, I'm only thinking about how my structure, helps me make this more interesting, helps the process more interesting, and helps the whole dance make more reachable, more orientation towards the audience, and also more interesting to me and my students. Thank you.